Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Okay, hey guys. I just had some lunch. It was very good. I'm ready to go. Oh, Napoleon is here with us. There he is. He'll be watching. Jay Foreman, great channel. Came out with a new video. Preemptive like. Original link to the video, top of the description like always. Also, like always, right below that, link to the Discord. Click on it, send you right over there. Love to have you. Let's go. If you're not ready to learn,
why is London
you know the
Bridge
drill.
called London Bridge?
Because it's in London.
But there are lots of bridges in London.
London Bridge was the first.
But it looks really modern.
Because it was rebuilt.
Are there lots of really interesting things about London Bridge and its history and its future that unravel into a medium-sized documentary about the River Thames and its crossings in general?
I hope so.
Yes.
The River Thames is the reason London exists. Back in the year 43, the Romans chose this spot to build a bridge and found their city of Londinium, connected by road to the rest of Britain and by sea to the rest of the world.
While there's nothing physical left of the Roman bridge itself, except this apparently, it's thanks to the Roman bridge...
Really?
While there's nothing physical left of the Roman bridge itself, except...
That's cool.
This apparently, it's thanks to the Roman bridge that modern London is where it is today. Here.
After the Romans left, various temporary wooden bridges came and went on this site. Probably. But it wasn't until 1209 when along came a proper permanent one made of stone. And it was a corker.
Like many bridges in medieval Europe, London Bridge was a living bridge, with shops, houses, a church, and tiny people made of plasticine.
The roadway was so narrow and the roofs on the buildings stuck out so far that the dark passageway felt almost like a tunnel. At its most congested, it could take an hour to get across. To manage congestion, the City Corporation charged a toll to cross the bridge and ordered that all northbound traffic use the west side and all southbound use the east side. This may be the origin of why we now drive on the left in Britain.
I just checked and it isn't.
Oh.
One disappointing thing about the otherwise brilliant bridge was its dull name. But the reason for its dull name was quite interesting.
London Bridge was, for many centuries, the only bridge in London, which is surprising given how many thousands of people lived and worked on both sides of the river. So why was it like this for so long?
The Bridge House Estates, which ran London Bridge on behalf of the City of London Corporation, made a great deal of money from the tolls, and they were keen to keep it that way.
In 1664, when King Charles II started making plans to build his own bridge over the Thames, the City Corporation persuaded him to forget about it with a free loan, open brackets, massive bribe, close brackets, of £100,000. Despite the stronghold the City Corporation strong held over the river, London got on absolutely fine with just the one bridge. Because, rather bizarrely, most Londoners never used it.
Unless you had a horse and cart full of heavy stuff, why bother using the expensive and slow London Bridge when you can simply hop on a wherry?
Wherries, pronounced wherries, were long, thin boats that could carry up to 5 people. The streets of London were so congested that a wherry was often the fastest way to get around town, whether you needed to cross the river or not. The men who rode the wherries, the watermen, were the taxi drivers of their day. They had to know the locations of all the stairs and the times when the tide came in and out. In their heyday, there were more than 10,000 of them on the river.
And so, London remained merrily monobridged throughout the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th and 17th century. And that was fine by everybody. Until...
In 1720, the Prime Minister Robert Walpole was in a rush to get back to Westminster for an important debate in Parliament after visiting the King. When he arrived at the Fulham Horse Ferry, the watermen were having a pint on the opposite side of the river, and they refused to come across until they'd finished their drink. Walpole missed the debate, and from that day declared war on the river.
This is all your fault! Walpole presented a bill to Parliament making the legislation to allow new bridges over the Thames for the first time, whether the City Corporation or the watermen liked it or not, which led to London finally getting its bridge number 2, right outside the Houses of Parliament.
Westminster Bridge opened in 1750, bringing London Bridge's centuries of monopoly to an end. Not everyone was happy about this. The City Corporation demanded compensation, so the Crown gave them compensation, which they used to get revenge on Westminster Bridge by building Blackfriars Bridge in 1769, giving Londoners a whopping 3 bridges to choose from.
Crossing by bridge had now become a lot easier and faster and more normal than crossing by wherry.
This was bad news for the watermen, who were already having a really tough time with the closure of the theatres on the South Bank. It was the
wherry hungry
beginning of the end for the wherries.
But amazingly, they never disappeared completely. Hundreds of years later, the company of watermen and lightermen is still around today, and they still stage a protest whenever a new bridge is proposed. How's that going for you? London was growing up, and it was time to say goodbye to the old-fashioned traditional things that were holding it back. And that included London Bridge itself.
Over the centuries, London Bridge had become a medieval relic that was far too narrow for 18th century traffic. The bridge needed a makeover. So in 1761, to make a bit more room, the Bridge House Estates decided to remove the houses and shops from the bridge. But it was no good. The structure was still a crumbling death trap that needed repairing every 5 minutes, as made famous in the nursery rhyme Humpty Dumpty. The whole thing had to go. And so, in 1831, Old London Bridge was replaced by New London Bridge, designed by a father and son team, both called John Rennie. To avoid disruption and ease construction, New London Bridge was built slightly to the left of where the Old London Bridge was. If you look carefully at a modern map, you can clearly see how the old streets line up to show exactly where the Old London Bridge used to be. London's bridgevolution was only just beginning. In the 19th century, with London's population swelling faster than ever on both sides of the river, new bridges were being thrown across the Thames one after the other like kerplunk. Bridges for people, horses, and these new things called trains too. London just couldn't get enough of them. Bridges, 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 bridges. London Bridge wasn't special anymore. It blended in with all the others, getting on with its job in a no-nonsense sort of way. After 130 years, which in London terms isn't really that long, London Bridge already found itself once again in a bit of a pickle. By the 1960s, London had turned into a car city. To make room for all the commuters that wanted to use it, London Bridge would need to at least triple in width. The City Corporation once again had the expensive...
Always gives me anxiety watching the cars on the other side of the road, and I'm like, oh wait, of course.
London Bridge would need to at least triple in width. The City Corporation once again had the expensive task of building a modern bridge in place of the old one. But the trouble was, in the 20th century, it was much harder to raise the huge amount of money needed for this sort of project. And so, they made the unusual but ingenious decision to put the Two Rennies Bridge up for sale. Brochures and TV ads were produced, offering a unique piece of British history to the highest bidder. The highest bidder was American oil tycoon and chainsaw manufacturer Robert P. McCulloch.
Really? Yeah, buddy!
Who had the Old London Bridge shipped across the Atlantic brick by brick and put back together in Lake Havasu City, Arizona, where it's become something of a tourist attraction. There's a famously not true at all urban myth that McCulloch thought he was buying the much more famous and impressive Tower Bridge and bought the wrong bridge by mistake. And that's where we get the expression, I bought the wrong bridge by mistake. Not all of London Bridge went to Arizona.
What do you say? What's going on here? Okay.
I bought this arch from the bridge by mistake. Not all of London Bridge went to Arizona. These steps and this arch from the Rennies Bridge are still here and here today on the South Bank.
There you go.
Whilst it's great that some of the Rennies Bridge has been kept alive, its modern replacement is a structure best described as a shame. The necessary rebuild of London Bridge in the late 60s coincided with a flash-in-the-pan fashion for...
Which one is that building?
The necessary rebuild of...
That building always stands out because it seems like it's wider up top than it is at the base. You know, this one, can you see where my...
London Bridge in the late 60s coincided with a flash-in-the-pan fashion for brutalist functional architecture. New London Bridge, completed in 1973, is a wide, grey concrete slab devoid of even the slightest hint of its rich history. It's impressive for the sheer amount of nothing there is to say about it.
Right?
With London Bridge getting more boring
It's
every
almost
century,
impressive how boring it is.
the next one, coming in 2182, will likely be made entirely of beige jumpers. Yep, I think that's everything I can think of about London Bridge. But London does, of course, have many more bridges, and there are lots of interesting things to say about them, too.
Next!
So if you're not busy, join me next time for another thrilling installment of Unfinished London.
Awesome. Cool.
When I want to access the internet from another country, I just use my long arm.
I'm going to do them a favor. You guys always leave. All right, if you're going to use Surfshark's, make sure to use the /JForeman down here, the VPN. Get Surfshark VPN. JForeman. The best VPN. I'm trying to do my best here. Get Surfshark. It's the best. And use /JForeman. See you guys next time. Elastigirl. Lips of Dover.
He says it's my arm and I'll do what I want. That's always his excuse. It's a very big shame his very long arm has not been put to better use.
I've just realised that although I've successfully managed to log onto the internet in France, I can't actually see the computer.
Then you need Surfshark.
Surfshark, what is?
Surfshark is a VPN, a browser extension and app that allows you to access the internet from more than 60 countries around the world. Simply download Surfshark and you'll have a button on your browser that lets you look at content that's blocked in your country.
You mean I can change my location to the USA and watch Grey's Anatomy on CW whilst being able to see the screen at the same time and have my arm free to eat biscuits?
You're darn right.
Just a minute, let me check. Yes, you can.
Are there any other advantages to having a VPN like Surfshark?
There are. A VPN like Surfshark masks your IP address, which means you can browse the internet without being tracked by advertisers or hackers, keeping your data safe and private. Also, Surfshark lets you have one account on an unlimited number of devices.
Is Surfshark paying you to tell me this?
Yes.
Well then, can you get me some sort of special discount?
Of course. Click the link in the description below and use the code JAFEORMAN to get 83% off Surfshark plus an extra 3 months for free. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, which means it's basically a free trial.
Oh, that's just brilliant. I'm going to download Surfshark now.
He used to have a very long arm. Now he's got Surfshark and a very long arm.
Cool video. Let's be real. You guys already left. See ya, no one. See you guys.